So thank you so much for your patience. We are now going to the concluding panel with the theme of Towards the UN 2026 Water Conference, the 11th Water Forum and beyond. And I like this session a lot because it's a very good mishmash of experiences from the MDBs and other multilateral institutions. To moderate the session is the head of the Climate, Biodiversity and Water Division of OECD Environment Directorate, our colleague, Dr. Walid Qislati, whom you must have seen yesterday. And we started with him, and it will be good to conclude with him. Dr. Walid, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, your attention. This is the closing session, but the closing session is the most important one because you will hear about the takeaways from this meeting. So I would like to draw your attention, those who are taking their coffee, please join us. Just take this buffer time to ask you, if you didn't do it again, just take your phone, take a picture where you see there's a link and you go directly to the survey. That's more to test actually through a few questions about how satisfied you are and if you have a proposal for our next work. Please do it for the team. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, distinguished guests, as we draw the 12th round table on financing water to a close, it's important to take a moment to reflect on the rich discussion and the invaluable insight shared over the course of this meeting. Together, we have explored the new and innovative financing model that can propel the water sector towards a greater sustainability and resilience, aiming not only to meet today's need, but to safeguard our water resources for future generations. Throughout the various sessions, we have delved into a variety of funding and financing approaches, each characterized by a commitment to a long-term success. These models prioritize a balanced distribution of risk between investors and recipients, ensuring a fair and prioritize a balanced distribution of risk between investor and recipient, ensuring a fair and equitable environment that foster growth. We have also highlighted the critical need for adequate working capital and ongoing asset maintenance to preserve the value and the functionality of water systems over time, recognizing that the longevity and of these assets is essential for meeting the needs of communities now and in the future. A key theme that emerged today was the importance of moving beyond financial returns. And this is really important. We must embrace a broader view of success, one that includes measurable social and environmental outcome. By incorporating these indicators, we can ensure that our investment contribute not only to economic growth, but also to social equity, environmental protection, and the achievement of SDGs. This comprehensive approach is essential, especially in regions experiencing increasing water stress, where every drop counts. Another critical aspect coming in our discussion was the potential of Islamic finance principle in shaping the future of water investments. The focus on risk sharing, profit sharing, and asset-based financing offers a compelling model to mobilize resources for water sector while aligning with ethical and sustainable investment practices. By harnessing this principle, we can address water-related challenges in a way that both financially viable and socially responsible, That said, I would like now to introduce the concluding panel and invite His Excellency Sheikh Tidiane Dieye, Minister of Water and Sanitation of Senegal, to deliver his keynote address. Please. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, distinguished guests. It is with great pleasure that I address you today in my capacity as Senegal's Minister of Hydraulics and Sanitation, and also as a voice for Africa at this roundtable on financing. I would like to commend this initiative and extend my gratitude to the Islamic Development Bank and the OECD for this invitation and the successful organization of this event. I would like to take this moment to thank Minister Dr. Abdul Aziz Shaibani for his warm welcome and to congratulate him for the success of the kickoff meeting of the 11th World Water Forum, as well as the rich and fruitful discussions held over the past few days. Senegal supports and will continue to fully back the 11th Forum. This 12th roundtable, which has brought us today since yesterday, comes at a pivotal time, 5 years before 2030 agenda deadline. It is an excellent opportunity to explore pathways and mechanisms for ensuring sustainable, innovative, and equitable water financing. Today, world faces acute challenges. Water stress is increasing everywhere, particularly in Africa, where demand for water is surging, especially in larger cities and key productive sectors. Across the continent, 400 million people still lack access to safe drinking water, and over 700 million lack basic sanitation. Despite government efforts, investment in water and sanitation remains far too low. To accelerate progress toward achieving SDG 6 by 2030, Africa needs $30 billion annually. Today, we are mobilizing barely half of that. If this gap persists, it will not undermine our development, but also our stability, health, food security, and collective resilience. At the time where we are discussing these large sums of money, and sometimes the multi-faced difficulties of mobilizing them to finance major projects, millions of people, often women and children, are traveling long distances from village to village in search of an hypothetical watering hole or watering place to find something to drink and water their livestock. We are therefore in a time of extreme urgency to solve these problems. In many cases, a water transfer network, a solar-powered well system will do much to help them. So we also need to equip ourselves with financing mechanisms that are adapted to these needs and that can act flexibly and agilely to solve concrete problems. In Senegal, in order to meet basic, urgent needs that cannot wait for complex, long-term projects to be structured, we are in a process of setting up a fund that will be called Fund for Water Solidarity. When naming that fund, we are naming it after 11 years old, to becoming a doctor to save lives, but lost hers fetching water far from her village somewhere in the northern Senegal. I repeat this. In Senegal, in order to meet basic urgent needs that cannot wait for complex long-term projects to be structured, we are in a process of setting up a fund that will be called All Fund for Water Solidarity. We are learning it after an 11 years old girl to a doctor to save lives, but lost her fetching water far from her village, somewhere in the North Senegal. This is a quite big issue for all of us. Given this reality, diagnosis alone is not enough. We must shift paradigms. We must fundamentally rethink water financing models. This is the essence of the Roundtable and the Senegal's vision for advocating this. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in this context, we must collectively build a new narrative around water financing, and that makes the water sector more attractive to the private sector also. We advocate for sustainable financing, not just in terms of longevity, but in its very logics. What we call sustainable financing that integrates from the outset maintenance, management, skills, usage, and social and environment impact. It is not just about funding infrastructure, but ensuring its long-term operation and benefit to communities. We also call for more balanced risk-sharing mechanism through water-specific guarantee. This way, technical and financial partners, private sector, investors, and local communities can be integrated into a transparent and trust-based framework which plays their role. In this regard, Islamic finance offers concrete solutions that are tailored to our realities. It anchors project and tangible assets, shared responsibilities, and outcomes based that beyond financial indicators. Amid this global water crisis, Senegal, under the leadership of His Excellency President Bassirou Diomaye Diakhar Faye, has made a water central and strategic pillar of the Senegal 2050 transformative agenda. To this end, the Senegalese government has launched ambitious public-private partnership projects such as the water highways, the ongoing seawater desalination plant, and another under discussion with the Saudi private sector company called Aqua. We are also rehabilitating water and sanitation networks and implementing both legal and institutional reforms, including establishing a water sector regulatory authority with OECD support. Under this national water agenda, we have mobilized significant financing with the Islamic Development Bank for projects in water, sanitation, and agriculture, with potential for portfolio expansion also. Moreover, in today's strange international context, with declining and weak water prioritization in national budgets, external and public financing alone will not be sufficient. We must strengthen domestic resources mobilization, leverage public-private partnership, and build financing ecosystems tailored to local needs. We must act because the cost of inaction is too high. In Africa alone, nearly $200 billion is lost due to water and sanitation challenges. In Senegal, we say the joint bank report and security by 2050 warns that extra water-related events and pollution will cost over 10% of GDP annually. Given this, water financing deserves high-level political attention and initiative aiming to the Green Fund, strengthening partnership and innovative financing the water investment that is more urgent than ever. Developing innovative financing mechanisms such as green bonds, dedicated investment funds, securitization instruments, and partnerships with institutional financial institutions can unlock private investment. This is why Senegal has established the Blue Fund for Water to help bridge the gap and boost inclusive access to secure water and sanitation service nationwide. It is also the driving force behind the high-level international panel on water investment in Africa, which aim to mobilize financing by 2030 investment program, keeping the continent infrastructure, water security, and climate resilience. As co-host of the 2026 UN Water Conference with the United Arab Emirates and chair of the African Ministers' Council of Water on Water, AMCO, for 2025 to 2027, Senegal is ready to actively contribute, share its experience, and advocate at the highest level to make water an action and financing priority. In our ongoing consultation with states, international institutions, NGOs ahead the UN Water Conference, we note deep concerns over sustainable water financing and investment. We welcome the inclusion of the issues in the G20 preparatory agenda under South Africa's presidency, including an African Water Investment Summit this August, aligning with preparatory for the 2026 conference. I hope these roundtables outcomes will also make a decisive contribution to the UN 2026 conference that we will co-host with United Arab Emirates. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I issue a solemn call to all financing partners, development institutions, and private sector actors. Investing in water is investing in peace. It is investing in health, in education, and in human dignity. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency, for this inspiring keynote. We look forward to continuing our collaboration with Senegal and wish you all the best in your ambitious policies. I think Senegal is championing this water scarcity issues in the nexus with development, and think we many have to learn a lot from Senegal experience. Now I have the pleasure to introduce our next panelist, His Excellency Abdullah Balala, Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Energy and Sustainability at the United Arab Emirates, to deliver his keynote address virtually. Can you hear us?
Hello, good afternoon. Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, good afternoon. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm addressing you today from my hometown, Abu Dhabi, and I apologize for not being able to be with you in person. First of all, I extend my sincere thanks to the Islamic Development Bank and the OECD for convening this timely and important discussion on water financing. I would like also to congratulate our brothers and sisters in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the World Water Council for convening a successful kickstart meeting on the 11th of the World Water Forum earlier this week. We meet at a pivotal moment, with just 5 years remaining to deliver on the 2030 agenda. SDG 6, universal access to clean water and sanitation, is dangerously off course. And this is not just a missed target, it's a looming critical crisis. The consequences of inaction are profound, lives lost, livelihoods threatened, and development gains reserves across every sector, from food, energy, health, education, and climate resilience. The numbers speak for themselves. Today, nearly 4 billion, 2/3 of the global population, faces severe water scarcity at least 1 month a year. And this figure is rising fast. Climate change is altering the hydrological cycle, and no region feels this more acutely than ours. The MENA region is already one of the most water scarce on Earth. And guess what? It's getting drier. Yet, despite the urgency, water remains severely underfunded. According to our colleagues at the World Bank, we need to mobilize 6.7 trillion to meet global water goals. We must stop treating investments in water as a burden and start treating it as an enabler and catalyst of our shared future. To turn the tide, we must unlock new sources of capital, especially from the private sector, by reframing water as a bankable, resilient, and sustainable investment. Building enabling environments that attract finance and innovation at scale, and align policy, finance, technology, and innovation to ensure that every dollar drives maximum impact. We need to shift from business as usual to business as urgent. But there is a good news. The good news is there is momentum, and there are solutions in place. And there is a momentum on the horizon to bring them together. The 2026 United Nations Water Conference, which the UAE is honored to co-host with our esteemed partners from the Republic of Senegal. This conference will be a turning point, an opportunity to course correct, to bridge commitments and implementation, and to mobilize a global movement for water. While the themes of the interactive dialogues are still being refined, one priority is already clear for us. Finance will be front and center. Because without the right financial architecture, our ambition will remain out of reach. The UAE is committed to bringing to water what we brought to climate: scale, speed, and system change. In a year and a half ago at COP28, we demonstrated that it is possible to align climate ambition with real financial delivery, launching initiatives such as Altera, the world's largest private climate investment fund, and the Global Climate Finance Center, designed to unlock finance that is accessible, affordable, and available to all. Now is the time to apply that same approach to water. We know that finance alone is not enough. That's why at COP28, the United Arab Emirates pledged $150 million to address water scarcity, coupling capital with innovation through the Mohammed bin Zayed Water Initiative. This initiative has already launched the world's largest incentive for water innovation, $119 million X-Prize Water Scarcity, a 5-year global competition to revolutionize seawater desalination. And just this week, the initiative unveiled Al Miyah Challenge for Agriculture, the first of a series of competitions that will push the frontier of water innovation even further. COP28 marked a breakthrough in multilateral cooperation on water. In a joint declaration, 8 multilateral development banks, including the Islamic Development Bank, pledged to double the number of people benefiting from water-related climate support. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, a powerful signal that water is finally being recognized as a foundation of climate resilience. Excellencies, friends, let today be a call to action. The world needs a financing architecture that matches the urgency of water crisis. Let's take the insights and ideas exchanged over the past 2 days and turn them into action. Let's use the road to 2026 to rally political leadership, financial innovation, and technical solutions behind our shared goal. And the goal is water for all, water for sustainable development, and water for a prosperous future. Yes, the challenge is immense, but so too is our capacity to meet it. Only if we act now with unity, urgency, and purpose. I am counting on each of you. The world is watching, and the time is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for your insightful keynote. We hope to have the opportunity to collaborate with the UAE in the lead up of UN 2026 Water Conference. Now, let's have some concluding remarks from some key participant in this round table. I would like to invite Chira Jonas Shirwa, Director of the Water and Sanitation Department at the African Development Bank. We host together actually in the 10th round table in financing water in Abidjan in 2023, and it was a pleasure to collaborate with you. Please, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Walid, for that introduction. Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister, Sheikh Tidiane Dié from Senegal, other ministers, honorable ministers present here, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me on behalf of the African Development Bank to be here and share with you what we think has been an excellent session and some of the takeaways that we think will be useful for us to take from here into upcoming events, but also into our own activities to make a greater impact in the provision of water and sanitation for all. This conference, successfully organized by the OECD and the Islamic Development Bank, has actually built very well from the 10th conference on financing water that Walid just talked about, that we hosted jointly with the OECD in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire in November 2023. In that conference, a number of key takeaways emerged, and these are all relevant today. For example, speaking specifically for Africa, we recognized then that there's a huge financing gap to close the financing needs for investment in water. Currently, we're estimating almost up to 70 billion annually, and this is going to continue to grow. Why? Because there's a huge population growth in Africa, estimated to reach 2.5 billion in 2050. The growth of cities is at an astronomical rate, some cities growing up to 8 and 10% per annum because of migration. And all these people moving into areas that have no access to services. We talked about the importance of public sector efficiency to improve financing, but also operation and management of the existing services. It's clear that with the impact of climate change, some of the gains are being eroded and that it requires a doubling of efforts and investment to even just meet current investment requirements. In addition, it's clear that despite all the gamut of financing innovative solutions that have been shared over these past 2 days, there's a clear role that still is required, a strong role by the public sector, that's the governments and its institutions, but also development finance institutions, especially to help and work with governments to improve capacity at institutional level, but also to improve the governance of the sector and ensure the implementation, successful implementation of legal and institutional regulatory frameworks that will enhance investment and the deployment of some of the innovative instruments that have been shared over the past 2 days. We also are clear that for these investment initiatives, for these instruments to work, we need the availability of a good pipeline of investment opportunities. Our analysis shows that up to 80% of investment ideas or project ideas get dropped very early in the development cycle, perhaps at feasibility stage, because of either lack of technical capacity or the lack of financial support upstream. So it's clear that we need more resources invested upstream to build that capacity and sustain it, but also to help the development and preparation of good bankable investment projects that can attract the various financing instruments. In Africa, the African Union Commission and the African Ministers' Council on Water are currently developing a new Africa water vision and policy, because the current one expires in this year, 2025, which has been in use for the past 25 years. But now looking forward into the future, we need to do things differently. It's clear that the way the sector is financed currently will not make the impact necessary. So we in the African Development Bank see that we need to scale up financing using some of the instruments shared here today, such as the use of bonds. For example, we have seen access to domestic resources uptake, picking up in Africa, and we think there's huge potential to use pension funds, which there are institutions in Africa holding assets in excess of 250 billion in large regional corporations, remittance-based instruments, which can be applicable to rural water and sanitation deployment. As an example, recently in Cote d'Ivoire, the National Pension Fund, CNPS, invested over 20 million with Eranov, which is a private sector-led private operator investing in water and energy, operating in several countries like Mali, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal. Also in Kenya, we saw recently in 2023, the Kenya Pension Funds Investment Corporation highlighting a short list of 19 opportunities valued at 2.5 billion in various sectors, including water and sanitation. In 2023, the African Development Bank also set up a new sustainable bond framework that allowed issuance of sustainable bonds aimed at financing green and climate-related operations, including water and sanitation projects. And it mobilized in 2024 over $3.5 billion. So these are some of the instruments that we think are taking root, can be scaled up, and make an impact over and above the traditional means of financing. Secondly, is how do we actually scale up private sector financing? Where we sit in the African Development Bank, we see the important role of utilities as being the conduit through which we can scale up private sector financing. It's clear that strengthening the operations and financial sustainability and creditworthiness of our national utilities is going to go a long way in improving service delivery, asset maintenance, but also attracting new capital. We have seen utilities in some countries being able to attract financing from commercial banks. An example, for example, in Uganda, where the National Water and Storage Corporation was able to attract up to $300 million from commercial banks in the country to invest in the sector. Therefore, we believe that the potential in utilities holds an immense opportunity in Africa with an investment potential of over $40 billion through strengthening investment opportunity in utilities. So we are developing a program that will help to strengthen operational capacity, but also creditworthiness, because that's the one way that we can attract investment through private sector. So, Chair, I think these 2 days have been very instrumental, and our call is for these discussions not just to end up here as discussions, but to be taken into something that we can follow up in the upcoming events, the UN Water Conference, the World Water Forum that's coming up, to be able to take stock, but also showcase how some of the innovative instruments presented here have been used, perhaps package some case studies that can be used to further disseminate information to our national stakeholders and partners, but also to build partnerships among the different financing institutions here to implement specific projects that make use of the instruments shared here. I would like to encourage OECD, perhaps working with some of the DFIs present here, to try and package perhaps a booklet or an information note coming out of here that can be used to build on specific examples to be showcased in future events. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I wish you all a successful closure and return to your respective homes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to listen to you, and in particular having all these concrete examples, and thank you very much for participating in person, because I know your schedule changed and you make it, and this is much appreciated. Let me now go to our another participant who is online. Mr. Amin Idris Adoun from African Union Development Agency. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well. Thank you. The floor is yours for concluding remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. I'm speaking here on behalf of our CEO, Her Excellency Mrs. Nardos Bekele Thomas, who is our Chief Executive Officer at ODA-NEPAD, and who serves as well as the co-chair, I think, for the Africa Water Investment Program. So on her behalf and behalf of ODA-NEPAD, allow me as well to extend our sincere gratitude to our host, so the Islamic Development Bank and the OECD, for convening this 12th water investment forum, following the one we had in Abidjan last year. Now, based on the conversation that actually unfolded during the last 2 days, for us in Africa, we believe that we stand at a critical juncture regarding our water resources. A sector which is fundamental to achieve not only our Agenda 2063 goals, aspirations, but also, of course, the SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation. Water, of course, all the participants have said is life, and yet for a vast population, especially in our continent, it remains a source of insecurity. It remains a problem that profoundly impacts their health, education, but also economic opportunity, and simply basic human dignity, especially concerning the water supply, sanitation, and hygiene, the wash. So statistics that we've seen starkly illustrate the gap that we must close. 1 in 3 Africans face actually water scarcity, water insecurity on a daily basis. About 400 million of our people actually lack access to safe to basic drinking water, and a staggering 700 million live without adequate sanitation facilities. So to address this, that requires monumental investment. An estimated of about $30 billion annually by 2030 is actually needed just to achieve universal wash access. But the current mobilization efforts capture only 1/3 of this necessary funding. And that critical gap highlights that traditional financing mechanism alone cannot help us to meet our continental and global commitment. So that actually compels us to urgently explore and embrace alternative financing avenues to reframe as well the narrative through initiatives like the one that we have launched, actually Mind the Gap, Invest in Water campaign with the GWP and the AIP. So the goal here is to position water, including wash services, not merely as a social necessity, but as a viable, attractive, and impactful investment class capable of transforming this crisis into a catalyst for achieving sustainable development and also our regional stability. So basically, that includes, for us at ODA-NEPAD, fostering well-structured public-private partnership. This is extremely important because that will help to leverage the growing market for green bonds, for instance, to fund climate-resilient water infrastructures, but also tapping into Islamic finance instruments like the Sukuk. I hear some of the participants was talking about that, which is highly relevant actually in this setting. And also designing blended capital strategies that strategically combine public, private, and concessional funds. So also to attract significant, but attracting actually significant private capital that requires that we invest into a robust project preparation and de-risking methodology and de-risking as well actions. Those are really essential steps to translate financial resources into tangible outcomes. So this is now, I think, a well-recognized challenge, particularly for sanitation projects, which are often perceived as difficult to make bankable compared to larger water supply or energy infrastructure. So therefore, accelerating the development of investment-ready projects through structured preparation for us is critical. And through initiatives like the AIP PIDA Water Investment Program that we are championing, we aim to build actually this pipeline to focus mostly on transboundary projects using the water, energy, food ecosystem integrated approach with a goal to help mobilize around $10 billion. That one. We also recognize that the acute needs actually in WASH, this is central to achieve SDG. And there is a growing continental emphasis actually championed by our countries, our member states, our regions, but also our partners to integrate and elevate actually WASH projects alongside traditional resources, water resource management, within the framework like the Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa. So now, while PIDA, a priority action plan includes major water infrastructures, dedicated efforts as well, actually push us toward bringing the WASH around the table. So we acknowledge as ODA-NEPAD the specific hurdles in preparing bankable sanitation projects and especially sanitation project, which is a subsector critical for public health and also dignity. Sanitation is really about dignity. So to overcome this, I think that structured mechanisms are being employed and refined. For us, we have the service delivery mechanism, which is supported by the African Development Bank, by the way, and which provides technical assistance for early stage project preparation, feeding into facilities later on, like the NEPAD IPPF, and that offers a model that actually we can follow. Similar to this, the proposed actually regional WASH project plan, performance-based grant specifically that we are preparing with the World Bank would be as well helping our countries develop PPPs or the PCM actually initiatives by supporting project feasibility studies, structuring, and de-risking. So this structured approach that we are taking, structured but also phased approach to project preparation, we believe is essential to build investor confidence, even in challenging but yet actually vital subsector like sanitation. That will help us as well to contribute really to the transformation of our economies. Now, driving those efforts require really strong continental coordination and leadership. At ODA-NEPAD, we operate, of course, under the mandate of the African Union, and we collaborate closely with key partners like AMCAO as well, not partners like a mechanism, AMCAO, and partners which is as well our bank like AFDB, but also GWP and the World Bank. And this coordination, we believe, is extremely important. And we actively champion transboundary water cooperation, and we implement strategic framework. So, by the way, about the PIDA, just let me add that the initial PIDA, water represented only 2% of the projects, but this second pillar, the pillar PAP 2, water actually represents 17% of the portfolio. So critically, we are expanding actually as well our focus from water resource management to wash, and this is as well extremely important. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, I think our collective vision for us deeply is rooted in the principles of our Agenda 2063, but also the promises of the SDG, of course. And this is clear. So we want to ensure sustainable access to safe water and adequate sanitation for every African, every child, actually, every woman, every youth, every person in this continent. And this means for us closing the gap for the 400 million who still lack safe water and the 700 million without proper sanitation. So this holistic approach, because we believe that water and sanitation must actually be together, this holistic approach driven by African leadership and strong partnership will position our continent to engage globally with concrete solutions, and ambition and also ownership, and to pave the way as well for a healthy, prosperous, and water secure Africa, which is the Africa that we want. So that's actually the message that I wanted to deliver on behalf of Her Excellency Madam Navros Bekele Thomas, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Idris. Really, we appreciate you shared your progress, and I think there is shared opinion that you are making the shift in your intervention in Africa. So, without further ado, let me now invite my friend and our host, Idrissa Dia, Director of Economic and Social Infrastructure Global Practices Department at the Islamic Development Bank, to deliver his concluding remark. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Walid. The inconvenience of speaking the last is that when you have very good interlocutors and contributors of the caliber that we had today, I'm hardly left with something to say. I was tempted to just give you back the mic and say thank you, everybody, for attending. But I guess that my colleague would not appreciate that. So allow me to say a few things, and I apologize to the audience if I have to repeat some of the messages. But repetition is sometimes pedagogy, as it is said. I will start by saying, as a co-organizer with OECD team, that for us, this is already a great success by the number and the quality of the participants that we have seen over the past 2 days. We are now at the last session. People are tired. I'm tired, and I think many of you are tired, but still many people remain in the room up to the last drop of the discussions. I think this is in itself a testimony of the interest that people are showing to the subject and the importance they attribute to that. And I associate to that the numerous participants that were online and who have been participating along with the audience here, raising questions, bringing contributions. So I think that we can be happy of what we have seen over the past 2 days. And this is an opportunity again to thank you, thank Nizar Bahodir and your dream teams of ladies, plus Farhan, of course, we'll not forget him, and all the IDB team, Ziad, Bipin, and others, that have allowed us to reap this success. Now, Shirwa said it earlier, the honorable ministers of Senegal and UAE said it also. We have been lucky with this conference, Shirwa, not to make you jealous about your previous roundtable. We are luckier because this one has been really in the middle of the road to the next UN summit and to the next World Water Forum. which makes that taking and building on what you have discussed and what you have built. We have read the summaries of takeaways from your roundtable. What has been discussed and agreed here would be a direct input, hopefully, to the quality of discussions that would take place during those gatherings, and bring tangible proposal, or at least priority areas of actions that would inform the discussion in those settings. And to reassure you, I saw all the smiling when you were asking that the summary outcomes of this conference be put together in a form that could be distributed and shared. So that's exactly what was the plan. And so there will be a knowledge product that would be ensuing from this discussion. I see Isa looking at me carefully because he's insisting also all the time that you should not organize conference only and go, because then in memories of people, things vanish. But you have to transform those into a knowledge that can be captured, usable. And that's not less than what Walid also and his team were insisting that we do. And this is what has been part of the agreement to jointly organize this conference. If there are things that have been really pleasant to see, is that there has been a lot of convergence of views here. I have not felt over the past 2 years any significant dissenting views on the main challenges and the main axis for responding to the crisis. That is very reassuring. Many people are thinking along the same path with their diversity of views and angles of analysis. One of the main points of convergence is the importance and the acuity and the urgency of the crisis. The figures are staggering. They're impressive. We have talked about all along these days. The volume of funding that is needed to tackle the crisis is also impressively, if I can put that, challenging. But we have heard here and we have seen a common willingness to address the challenge by putting more money into funding assets, more money into funding capacities, more money and more models sharing into fixing the utilities. I always insist on that. And I think we at the MDB's water group, we all agree on that now, that again, pouring more money into the sector without fixing the utilities is not solving the problem. Okay. But pouring more money and bringing more exchange of experience as an accelerator of solutions adoption is one of the ways to go. Upskilling the utilities and the water professionals. By the way, we did not discuss those things enough. But Nizar and team who have participated in few sessions of this, I think there is a firm that's called the Africa Water Sector, Young Water Sector Professionals, is part of the initiative, the type of initiative that we need to support. Because what is having the money, having the utilities, but without having the capacities. And sometimes utilities are having today difficulty to find the right profiles. When people like Grégoire Diouf will retire as the doyens, deans of the sector, how do we replace them to maintain, to create the momentum and maintain it? Training, capacitation is important, by the way. And IDB has been planning to work on reinforcing TVET, focusing on water, to create that relève, as we say it in French. This is very also important as part of the sustainability measures of what we do. There has been also consensus on the fact that public sector funding, though it is the measure determinant, cannot continue to expand indefinitely. We have seen the shrinking fiscal space everywhere, and it is going seemingly to be more with less official development assistance coming to developing world. Government finances would be more strained. So their ability to invest more in the sector, unfortunately, might be, at least for a short term, further constrained. Therefore, the call to private sector that has been observed here just makes sense. And the figures are, for the time being, disappointing. 2-3%, 6% on average in the more advanced economies. So it shows that the potential to draw on the private sector resources is much bigger, and that, as one of the priorities of our interventions as MDBs, is that to make more effort to drag in private sector and work with us and with the government. Dr. Issa will need more your expertise from IFC in that regard, because in IFC you are able, and you have been more able than that many others, to make the public and private sector work on profitable interventions, but that have public, huge public or determinant public interest. So I think this is one of the clear takeaways also. It has been also clear from the participants, and I like the sentence of Cyril Koujare from Aquafed, that private sector is not the panacea, but it cannot be out of the equation, and there is no solution without private sector. So I think that also has been a key point of convergence. The need to evolve the mode of financing also has been something very much agreed upon here. The potential of Islamic finance that is untapped. Nizar, your world-class team without winning the World Water Cup, I think will stay in our memories. The money is out there, the potential is there, but why we're not using it more and better into the sector was the question that Issa put as the paradox of the missed opportunities in the Islamic financial market. So we could go on and on. The adoption of result-based financing by IDB and the sector-wide financing as new instrument to support traditional ways beyond classical Islamic financial tools, and other alternative methods like sukuk, blue sukuk, and so forth have been also agreed upon as the way to go. So I will stop there. It's already long and we are already tired, that's true. But to just say that we are organizers are extremely grateful to all of the people who joined here, but I'm sure you would want to conclude on that note, so I will leave it to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Idrissa. On behalf of all the participants, I would like to say warm thanks for your generosity. And just to share an information with the Idrissa team, Nizar and others, there was a very intensive exchange. So there's a kind of collaboration that went to give this background and to shape the agenda, to contact people and to gather all these people. Anyway, here we are. So we are approaching the end of this 12th roundtable. Yes. It cannot be said without emotion. I think, I hope you enjoyed your time, your participation, connection, etc. And I believe there will be before Jeddah and after Jeddah. Why I'm saying that, it's not just wording actually, because discussion with the team, we felt this 12th roundtable, there was a momentum in terms of participants, the number of participants. I was told by my colleague Forkan there was more 100 in-person participants and 300, a peak of 300 online all the time. So that's really important. But beyond the quantitative aspect, it's how rich was the discussion. And because we gathered people from governments, we have ministers, we have high-level governments, but from international organizations, MDBs, developed banks, private banks, NGOs, different organizations. And this is what makes humankind activity rich. And I would say even it's the first sign of our resilience. So facing all these challenges, we keep thinking, we keep talking, we keep exchanging this experience to go forward. Because we don't have any other solution, either discussing and making more promoting collaboration for the development. I want to express my deepest gratitude to each of you for your dedication, expertise, and contribution to this dialogue. Your collective, I insist on collective commitment to advancing sustainable water finance is truly inspiring. The partnership and the known chair during the roundtable will continue to guide us as we work together towards more resilient and future sustainable water future for all. We provided in this roundtable 4 background notes, and we look forward to receive any comments you may have. Please feel free to send us your comments by the 10th of May next month. You will find the address email of my colleague here on the website of the roundtable, so please share any feedback you may have. So let's move forward with the renewed purpose. Building on the idea and collaboration that have emerged from this 2 days discussion, as we continue our shared journey toward ensuring that every person everywhere has access to clean, safe, sustainable water resources. The roundtable on financing water will continue. We are exploring opportunity for regional and thematic meetings in 2026. On the way of UN Water Conference in 2026 and the 11th World Water Forum in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh and maybe beyond. Your active participation has been the key in making this event successful, and we look forward to see you again and continue the discussion with you. Thank you very much.
And with this, I would like to say thank you, and we wish everybody safe journey back home. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.